New program for us called Cafe Hub. A lot of you would recall last semester your friends that weren't engineering students met with their faculty advisors for Meet Your Faculty Advisor Day. And this is our iteration of that. So for this first SAM meeting, you're going to be meeting with myself or Kristen. And then the following SAM spring semesters, you will be meeting with your faculty advisor. So the best thing for you to do when you come to a SAM meeting is have an idea of what courses you plan to register for the following semester. Excuse me. Ultimately, you and I are going to discuss a 4-year plan of study, or it'll be like a 3.5-year plan of study at that point. And we're going to lay out the final semesters of your time here at RPI so you have a good sense of what your HOS requirements are, what concentration, if there is one that you would be considering, and anything along the lines of ARCH preparation and stuff like that. So this meeting is important, so I want you to make it a priority this semester. And basically what we do in the hub is we work out the logistics. And when you have that plan of study, you have a tool that will get you to graduation. Your faculty advisors are key for talking about research, for talking about internships. If you have aspirations about doing something in industry, chances are they're going to be more versed in having that conversation than myself, because I am not an environmental engineer. But it's really important to have that partnership because we both have positive attributes that we can do. So basically, we're going to develop a 4-year plan this semester if we haven't already. And then you're going to go to your faculty advisor starting this fall. And you can see them as often, and they're going to discuss logistically how to make an appointment with them if they want you to visit office hours or if they want you to email them. It's a little bit different because we have an online appointment system here in the hub, so a little different first year than it's going to be for the rest of your time here. We can advance that. So a couple of things that I want to highlight before we move on to the faculty is some key points for this semester if we don't meet ahead of time. The drop deadline for all courses for this semester is March 6th. And I tell students if you drop a class before March 6th, it wipes the slate clean like you never registered for it. So that's a strategy that some students use if they're not doing well in a class. You can always push it off to another semester. But we really advise you to talk to your advisor before you make that kind of decision because we want to make sure you're still on track to graduate. Because if you're dropping a course that's a prerequisite for another course, we might run into some difficulty in planning. So check in with us if you do want to drop a course, but it is an option for students. The other thing that is coming up, and it's not going to be until April, but it's the Pass No Credit deadline, and it's April 4th. Now, a Pass No Credit deadline, if you don't know what a Pass No Credit is, come talk to us, because we'll go over all of those details. But HOS classes and free electives, depending on what they are specifically, are options for you to pass no credit. And basically what it does is it takes the grade away so you can have the experience without having any negative consequences on your GPA. So for more information about that, again, we would want you to talk to your advisor.
And you know that we do not allow passing credit of ENVE or CIVL courses.
Yes, anything that's specific for your major, you cannot pass no credit. And because you need an advisor signature to pass no credit anything anyway, we will screen those out if you try to do that. And the registrar will as well. So registration opens for you in March. So you definitely want to make sure you make an appointment with either Kristen or myself before that. And I'm going to warn you, things get really, really busy in March because everybody who waits till the last minute scrambles for appointments and then they panic because the registration time comes and you haven't met with us. So please be proactive. You could do this tomorrow. You could do this next week. As long as you have an idea of what you're planning to register for, the sooner the better as far as I'm concerned. And that's pretty much it for me. I want to introduce everybody you're going to be meeting today. So first I'm going to introduce the CIVL advisors, Professor Sean Ushida and Professor Sean Herb, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then I have the environmental advisor, Professor Chip Kilduff. And I'm going to turn it over to them so they can tell you a little bit more about the department and themselves specifically.
Yeah, all right. My name is Uchida.
Oh, sorry.
That's right. I did geotechnical engineering, which is part of civil engineering. I know, so I'm not sure you're interested in my research, so I'm not going to talk about research. But then if you're my advisees, you're going to meet me every semester. That's a requirement. So my SAM requirement is actually once a year, but I'm going to meet you every semester. And so during a consultation week, do you know when there's a consultation week? Not this one, next one.
They haven't announced it yet,
Okay,
but
so
usually it's in October.
October. So during October, you expect my emails, and I'm going to email you if you are my advisees. I email you, and I have a list of like 30-minute slot, and then you're going to come to see me, and I'm going to ask you to fill in a 4-year plan. So you have to have a clear idea what you're going to do for 4 years, and then I'm also going to let you sign the document so that in a year time. You haven't registered this course, but even though we agreed this is what you're going to do. So that's all like it. I'm expecting you to be professional students towards that. Be careful with that. That's it.
And I haven't done that, but I'm going to start now.
No, yes, I'm done.
Okay. My name is Shannon He, also call me Sean. I think if you are my advisee, I hope you already received one of my email. Okay, at least I think if you like, you can come to me anytime. Okay, if you do like that. I do have office hour. Typically, I'll sign it on Tuesday and Friday. Either that's after 4 or after 2. Okay, depends on my class. For this semester, that's after 4 p.m. So if for next semester, then you can come after 2 p.m. So typically, that's my time and my previous class. So any time of my office hour. You're welcome to stop by, have a chit chat with me, that's fine with me. And I do want to talk a little bit about my research because my career path is kind of very different. I think it's kind of unique in the civil environment engineering department. I have degree in mathematics actually. The first job I had actually, I was a consultant. I doing consulting work for a company that are doing logistics, routing problem, very typical in transportation. By that time, what the heck is that, right? I'm doing mathematics. What I was doing is all about math, about trying to find out shorter paths. And later on, what attracted me to this area was, okay, the real world is so different from the theory, from whatever I learned from textbook. That motivated me to learn a lot more, okay? And gradually I moved into transportation and learn about what's the theory, any kind of impact can change our world. By now, my research actually focuses more on the new technology. I summarize it as CASE. C for connectivity, A for automation. What's the next? CASE, sorry. S for share, and E for electric cars. CASE, okay? These all new technologies actually changing our world. You can think about that. Connectivity means that communication means that all the vehicles can talk to each other. Driverless car is kind of automated. Okay, that means in future maybe nobody need to drive our vehicles. Okay, and then shared mobility, that's Uber, that's Lyft. You guys already start using it. Okay, and electric cars certainly Tesla. You look at the market. Okay, it start just go so promising. Seems to me it shows the future. People like it. Okay, all these things actually would change our civil infrastructure. If you think about that, you could change the road, you can change how we travel, you can change our travel behaviors as well, okay? Even logistics. All this could raise a lot of research questions, a lot of problems may need you guys to solve in the future. That I think is very challenging, very exciting. Seems to me it's also very promising area as a career, okay? You can think about that anyways. If you have interest, certainly you are so welcome. Stop by and discuss with me. Okay?
So my name is Chip Kilduff. I've been here since 1996 or so, and my focus is on water purification as a research area, mostly using membranes and absorbents. And I teach the Intro to Environmental Engineering, groundwater courses, water purification courses, and capstone design. How many environmental majors are here? So quite a few. So, so those are the courses you'll have me in. My policies are, I haven't required people to come more often than the yearly SAM, but I welcome you to drop in. But actually requiring is not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
It overloads.
They are going to, well, they're moving towards making that an institute requirement, but.
Every semester?
Yeah, but we hear it every year and we have yet to see it, but
Yeah.
that's the, so it is encouraged. We encourage students to come visit us every semester while they have their first year at the hub too.
And probably, aside from curriculum matters, our biggest contribution to your career would be making connections with employers. And in civil and environmental, most of the firms are fairly small, and so the CCPD is useful, but not as useful as for other majors. But we get contacted a lot from employers and former students that are out working in the vicinity, and so we're a good potential contact for making those connections. In fact, I got a few today, and some of our former students were at the career fair, and so that's a good reason to come by often, more often than once per year. So you're going to be planning for the Arch. We had a meeting with the undergraduate committee yesterday, and it turns out that in both civil and environmental, our template is structured for the fall semester being away and the spring being here, and that's because we only teach courses once per year, so that's something to keep in mind. And we have kind of critical courses being taught in the spring. And so if you want to do something else, it really requires planning and shuffling courses around and approvals, and so you should probably plan on just following the template that takes the fall away and the spring on campus. The reason we did it that way is because if you don't, you end up taking 4 semesters in a row: fall, spring, summer, fall. And so we wanted to avoid that. And so the jury's kind of still out. If you guys can do that with absolutely no problem, we may think about changing things around. But for the time being, we're kind of just working it towards 3 semesters on, 1 semester off, as a mental health initiative. And most of the companies we've talked to, they have no problem providing internships in the fall. I know companies like Boeing don't have that program, and so they're not gearing up for it. But most of the smaller civil and environmental companies taking the fall internship is fine. So the only real downside is it's difficult to do a spring-summer internship. But aside from that, it seems to work. So let us know how it works for you, and if you suggest changes, we'll think about changing things.
Now, do you have any questions for the students specifically? And it goes vice versa. Does anybody have any questions? Because I want to open that up, and I might have some questions. So, how many students are interested in research? Okay.
Oh.
So when is a good time for a student to actually get that ball rolling as far as research? Is it first year, second year? Do they have enough coursework under their belt to be considered to do research with the department?
So now, because you take intro courses in a full semester, it's a third year. You can start doing research from the third year. Because it used to be I only took seniors, but then even juniors you can do that now.
And if a student wanted to ask you specifically about research, would you expect them to book an appointment? Would they bring a resume? Is it treated like an interview? Like, what is that format like? Because I get a lot of questions about research. Students are very ambitious and they want to start early.
For me, you just need to knock on my door.
Yeah.
My office hours are 1 to 4 every day, so my door is open pretty much any time.
That's
So
great.
just stop by and yeah.
In transportation, actually, we have a lot of ongoing projects. Usually, from now and then, sometimes depends on the progress of our project. We may need a lot of resources for undergrad students. So typically, we have some kind of regular announcements, and then now we do want to have more undergraduate researchers to work with us. Usually, we will make such announcement through the some classes. Okay. So, for example, this semester, by now, I already announced 2 opportunities for undergrad students. Not only saying that okay, you must be junior or senior, it could be second year sophomore is also welcome. So those kind of research probably is not that much technical. Sometimes just focus on a lot of like small data analysis. You need to collect the data, run some regression. You do need some computational skills. So you can run some software, you can do some statistics. So you are comfortable with those kind of skills. You say, yeah, I think I can do it. So you can approach us, talk to the door, and discuss with us. So usually it's kind of quite open. Okay, no requires that you must pass a certain kind of a year.
Our colleagues, Professor Nagar and Professor Abdun, they've been taking quite a few undergrad research students. I had two so far, but only seniors. But yeah, so we geotech and structural, we tend to have quite a bit of projects. So if you just yeah, it doesn't hurt you to start thinking early actually.
In environmental, most of our research is lab-based, and so it's nice if you can show you guys some lab experience. Not that that's required, but it's nice.
Are there any classes, aside from the intro courses for civil specifically, but even free electives that a student can enroll in that would help enhance themselves as a candidate for research? As you were mentioning, is there computer science coursework or taking beginning programming earlier? Would that be something that would be suggested?
Yeah, I think that could be helpful for sure.
Okay.
If you have taken some course in computer science, in statistics, for example, okay, that certainly would be helpful for this kind of analysis because we highly concentrate on data kind of analysis.
Okay. Excellent. Now, I know that we've also had a lot of students express interest in master's programs. How many students are interested potentially in doing a co-term or a master's program? Yeah, and I know that the civil and environmental departments encourage a master's program, so when would they start having those conversations with you? I usually say around the 90 credit mark. Is that appropriate? Is it junior year?
Yeah.
That a student would want to definitely decide whether or not that would be something they're considering, right? Okay.
Yeah, around the 5th semester, yes. And then I think you have to hand in by the end of junior.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
I think so. But then I normally decide, okay, let's do co-term a lot before that. Like 1 semester before, so like 5th semester, you're pretty much sure you're going to do co-term.
Yeah, it's a good idea to have AP credit and space in your curriculum because you can take courses that you'll in excess of the 120 that are required, and those courses can be used towards your master's degree. So you can take courses to be used towards the master's in the first 4 years. So if you plan that, get a good jump on it.
We, as a graduate committee, we try to create a template for you if you're interested in co-term. And I think we have a template, but it's very, very case-by-case basis. So I think it's best you come to me or Sean or Chip and then talk about it because it's really case-by-case. But it's great if you're showing interest. Yeah.
And then for environmental students, we've had quite a few that have combined, at the co-term level, combined environmental and civil, mostly geotechnical environment, which is a very nice combination. that puts you in kind of a unique position for the job market. If you're interested in that, then I would recommend taking Intro to Geotechnical Engineering as a technical elective and taking Strength of Materials as a multidisciplinary elective in the environmental template. And then you're kind of set up to do geotechnical courses later and in coaching.
I guess since we're on topic of combining majors and stuff, I mean, if you could focus on environmental, because I'm like more environmental, but aside from combining civil and environmental engineering, are there any other majors that are good to look into to combine with environmental engineering, like double majoring?
Chemical engineering has a useful overlap in the process area, but it's very difficult to combine with chemical because they have a super structured curriculum. So you almost have to take everything right from the start. There's very little overlap. Something like mechanical makes sense if you're interested in energy, in like thermodynamics and energy engineering. Industrial engineering makes sense from the point of view of logistics and statistics and that sort of thing. Electrical makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of like sensors and control systems and monitoring networks, but again, there's very little overlap. And so a lot of things make sense, but none of them are easier than civil and environmental.
Yeah. Minor is an option as well. You don't have to go for dual degrees.
Yeah,
I
that's right.
only signed off civil and environmental dual degrees, double major. The rest is minor because it's really hard. And unless you have a huge amount of AP credits and everything's really set up, it's really hard to do double major apart from civil and environmental. So far, that's yeah. I haven't looked into that detail, but that's sort of like the impressions that way.
A few of my students have done a double in sustainability studies. So there's a template set up with STSS, Science and Technology Studies, and maybe like 5, something like that. It's challenging because they require a senior thesis. So it's very nice, but it's not, it's a lot of work too. But that's doable. And again, a minor in almost any Haas discipline is pretty easy because you can take quite a bit of it in the Haas core. So that's
now they do this
The
pathway. So I'm not sure how easy it is now.
Well, it's actually easier, believe it or not.
Oh, to get them on.
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah.
specifically with sustainability, Haas offers a sustainability pathway, and a lot of civil and environmentals are actually following that path. And the pathway requires 3 courses towards that specific thing. So once they take the 4th course, they have completed the minor. So it's pretty much built right into their curriculum, and it's encouraged, especially conservation and sustainability. They kind of go hand in hand. So it makes a lot of sense for students to direct their attention in that way. Getting into the classes, however, have not been quite as easy just because of the popularity, but it is an option. How many are doing that pathway? There's a few, yeah. So, yeah, if we have some worksheets and we've gone over all of the pathway requirements for the students, so everybody pretty much knows specifically what courses they plan to take for the remaining time as far as Haas is concerned.
They can still meet you after first year.
Usually we don't.
Okay.
We recommend they meet with their faculty,
Okay.
just so we're not speaking two different,
Okay.
I don't want to overlap with any advising, but in the event that you're not available or if there's a question, of course, we're here. but we encourage faculty advisor to be the first line.
And we're happy to share our nifty cost pathways
Yes,
cheat
well-
sheet with our faculty members, because it's super useful for the new regulations.
Yeah.
We're happy to
Just a
share them.
checklist that makes it super
Yeah.
straightforward.
And all the other rules are the same in terms of number of thousand level courses. There's no more depth because that's the pathway.
Yeah, so it's basically
That's
still the 5 courses, the 20 credits, communication intensives. There's a 4,000 requirement, but most of it's all built into the pathways. So it's kind of more streamlined. It's just getting into the classes.
And have you guys started the, taking the courses to prepare you for Arch? No, that's next semester.
That'll happen in the fall. And the biggest thing, I mean, as students are coming in this semester, we're going to start talking about Career Center and how it's important to be proactive in your Arch semester. So starting first year is always helpful. Set up your JobLink account through the Career Center if you haven't done that already. And that's stuff we're going to talk about when we meet, but if we haven't already. And you know, anything that comes up. But you guys have your faculty sitting right in front of you, so any questions at all, bring it on. This is your chance. Alex?
So this question might be a little bit. I don't want it to like sound attacking to the degree or anything. It just, what's your opinion on like, I guess combined major? Would you recommend that? Because I spoke to some like students who are graduating right now, and I spoke to some more, I guess, experienced engineers in the field. And what I'm hearing about environmental engineering degree is that, for example, for experienced engineers, they can get themselves environmental engineering jobs without the degree. And I don't know, I just don't often hear of the reverse being true, you know, like environmental engineering degrees getting mechanical jobs, but maybe I just haven't met enough people, so I wanted to ask, what's your opinion on that?
That is so I was gonna say that in terms of like a civil environmental dual degree, it depends a lot on the type of firm. So there are big environmental firms where you get hired to say design water treatment plants or wastewater treatment plants, and there would be no benefit to having structural engineering or geotechnical engineering or whatever. My first job was in a small firm, we had 10 engineers, and we basically did any project we could get, you know, so you just want to get whatever job you can. And so I was doing things like landfill designs, road designs one day, distribution system design the next day. So then having a broader background really helps. And so I think it depends on the type of firm. The idea of, there's a lot of large companies like Procter & Gamble, you know, like big companies like that, they would have an environmental health and safety department. And because kind of the core expertise of the company is, say, chemical engineering, they will hire as many chemical engineers as they can, and they'll put them into the environmental health and safety department. So that'd be an example of a different discipline getting an environmental job. So something like Boeing, same kind of thing. They like hire a lot of mechanical engineers, so they might do the same thing. A friend of mine, environmental engineer, master's degree, was hired into the Ford remediation division, Ford Motor Company in Detroit. And she did great doing environmental remediation for about 10 or 12 years. And then they finally said to her, you can't get any higher in this company until you start making cars. And so you have to like contribute to our bottom line. Because up until now you've been doing remediation, and that's not a profit center for us, it's an expense. And so she started designing cooling systems in cars. So that was an example of an environmental engineer starting, doing mechanical engineering. So I think it depends on the company, what the sweet spot of the company is, and what their advancement structure is. And so it's a long answer. I could have just said it depends.
You have a professor who's got a master's degree doing civil professor.
Yeah.
But I also have other example. Now, when I was at Purdue, I have a friend who is also a PhD in civil engineering doing research in transportation. But later on, when he got the first job, he became an analyst in Wall Street, okay, in finance, okay. Other friend, they got some analyst in credit union, okay. They just because they do a lot of this data analysis. So in finance, engineering, wherever, when they have application, use this kind of skill, they say, yeah, if you can do data analysis in transportation, you're supposed to be able to do analysis in the finance market as well. So they also like to see this kind of candidate. They have such very comprehensive type of skill. They know how to do things. They just like to hire them. Okay. So in my opinion, as long as you have such power, you have this kind of capability. Okay, it's kind of open to you. Okay.
I think civil and environmental engineering is really, really interdisciplinary. I think it's one of the very strong topic. Well, disciplines are very interdisciplinary. And when we do a capstone project, you probably understand that. Because even if you're an environmental engineer, you need to know what happens to soil, what happens to structure, and so so it doesn't hurt you to. I think so. In terms of civil and environmental engineering degree, it's better to do a lot of civil work, civil courses. So I normally ask the students, who's got lots of credit, and ask students to take civil courses as a free elective, because that really equips them better. So that's what I know.
Thank you.
Anybody else? So everybody knows how to get in touch with their faculty member, their advisor come fall, right?
Do they have our contact info? They have this.
They're going to receive an email from us outlining all of that information before the end of the semester. So that is something that's reiterated again, but if there's any questions moving forward, this would be the time. Otherwise, thank you.
Yeah, feel free to send an email. Or, I would prefer email because I only answer my phone. I think I answered it in 2006.
Do you have a phone with you?
And one more thing about email, just because I've been dealing with a lot of it lately, when you do send an email, it is really important to treat it like a document. And treat it like you're writing a letter with a dear Professor so-and-so, and sign it with your full name. I get a lot of emails that look like text messages. Hey, how's it going? I'm not going to be there, and I don't even know who it's from.
No name, yeah.
So,
I got two today.
Personally, I create a signature, and you can do that in Outlook, that might include your RIN, because that's helpful for an advisor who has 250 students and doesn't know specifically what you're asking. So signing a full name and a RIN and even your major is always helpful. When you're dealing with faculty, there's a level that you have to perform at, and I think it's important that everybody recognize that. So just an added thing
It's
there.
good practice for the business world.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
absolutely. Because, I know a lot of faculty who won't even respond if they get an email that requires them to look up who is actually sending it. So just a little bit of advice there.
And the RIN especially comes in handy if the question you have requires that we contact the registrar, because they need your RIN.
Yes. Agreed. Okay. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming, and thank you all for coming. I appreciate you trekking out in the crappy weather. And moving forward, if you haven't made an appointment with Kristen or myself this semester, please do so.
And now you know all of us, so don't hesitate to reach